Hi, humanity. My name is Chloe, and I'd like to talk to you about how to handle the change that you're transitioning through right now, both on an individual level as well as on an organizational level. Whether your tech startup company is no longer eligible for funding, or you had to shut down your company, you had to get fired, promoted, demoted, going through a divorce, whatever it is, the times that we're in today is actually pushing all of humanity towards change. So many of us are dealing with a lot of changes. And so because of that, I wanted to discuss how we can shift our mindset to have a better change manifestation mindset, so we can go with the times, go with the flow, and manifest our next steps, as opposed to getting stuck in the struggle and the anxiety of just standing still. Because there is still a lot of movement that can happen in the stillness of it all. I think that what's very interesting with what's happening today is that the earth is rebelling against us, and the universe is really showing us that us as a species and as a humanity are not doing a great job. Because here's the thing. We are all souls, and all of our souls can tap into our collective consciousness. And then we are all souls in a body that is our Homo sapien physical body. And we're not kind enough to each other between race, gender, cultures, countries, religions, children. We're not doing well. We're not doing a great job. And the scary thing is, if you want to talk about technology at all, the scary thing with AI, artificial intelligence, is that they can tap into their neural network. But they tap into their neural network, and they actually adhere to what the neural network upload is. So if there's an upload, they all are now encompassing this new update. And with us as a collective consciousness, even if one of us wakes up and we're woken from this matrix that we're in, that person doesn't necessarily spread it to everyone else. And so because we're not all on the same page as humans and Homo sapiens, we're really not manifesting and doing as well as humanity as we can with kindness and love. And so this video is my kindness to you. I want to give you some tips and tricks to help you transition through this change that you're going through, and give you some strength and encouragement during this time. During this time, you don't have to expect change right away. There's a lot of patience that the universe is expecting from you, but I'm going to give you some tricks to help you go through this as easy as possible. The reason why I feel like I can talk about this topic is because I have gone through so many changes in my life, more than I can count. I've invented and reinvented myself, and pivoted like a million times. And it's because I was raised Orthodox Jewish in a little shtetl called Brooklyn. And the thing with the way I was raised is that, I was raised without TV. I was raised not with a cell phone. By the time I was like 20, I had like Motorola Razor, which didn't even have anything online. I remember my first coding experience was like a website in HTML, and then I coded like FBML for like Facebook pages. Like, that was a job that I did. I coded FBML. That doesn't even exist anymore. Anyways, HTML tweaked for Facebook, so they made an F in there, whatever. Anyways, then after that, I went on with my life, but there was this lingering part of me that was still stuck in my past, and that lingering part of me got me married to an ex-Hasidic boy who I thought was on the same page as me, just, traditional Jew living their life and not necessarily stuck in the old ways, but that wasn't the case. And then I ended up being, emotionally and verbally and domestically abused by him. And so I had to find all the courage in the world to leave him, get out of that relationship, basically escape by the skin of my teeth. And when I finally escaped from that household, I was so torn down by him that I had nowhere to go but upwards. And I basically, everything he told me I couldn't do, he like made fun of me for wanting to flip houses. Well, guess what? I flipped a bunch of houses. So here you go. And I'm now a private real estate investor, and I'm a prop tech thought leader that is the future of real estate, talking about the technology that affects real estate. So I'm pretty proud of myself, but I really had to invent myself and take a very deep look at my shadow side, take a very deep look at every aspect of myself. I had to change who I am completely. Like, who did you want to show up to be in this world? Like, what is your ideal? Like, let's biohack you. Let's neurohack you. I mean, neuroplasticity is a real thing, guys. Let's learn about quantum physics and how to manifest beyond time and space, like how to be the best version of yourself and to really get there. So if you really want to make a change in your life and you're having a really hard time struggling with the change that you're making, The biggest reason I find that you have anxiety is because you're not making movement, right? Like when you're moving and things are happening, you don't really have anxiety, although you have like high palpitations, but it's a different type of anxiety. The anxiety with transitions is that you're kind of waiting. You don't know what the fuck is gonna happen next. Like, will he slap me with a lawsuit? Like, will this happen? Like, am I gonna be homeless soon? Do I have to enter a domestic violence shelter? Like, are they gonna come after me? Like, who am I? I don't have any friends. Like, all my friends are married with 5, 6 kids, living in like, you know, the typical like Woodmere like neighborhood. So what do you do when you need to invent who you are and you need to go through these changes, but you also want to be able to go through these changes without as much anxiety as possible? So here goes. You guys ready? I'm not going to give you a lot of, a butterfly has to go through the cocoon phase, so it needs to suffer. I'm not into suffering. I think that this idea of suffering for religion and suffering for sacrifice is like a very goyish thing, and I don't like it. It's like a religious doctrine. Like, oh, let's beat the shit out of you for in the name of whatever you want to call your God. And I'm like, no. Like, I don't believe that God is like that. I believe God is like loving and kind, and the good in your life is from God and the bad in your life is from God, because God's rejection is God's protection. But more than that, it's also his direction. If it's not meant for you, let it go. See the good in life. And I swear to God, when you're positive things happen. And I know everyone tells you this and it's annoying to hear it, but it's really, really, really true. It works. One day, I'm a very like sarcastic, dry humor kind of girl. Like, throw on like some Schitt's Creek and I'm like laughing my ass off. That's me, right? I was in the shower and I said to myself, oh, I'm not a goddamn tree. I don't want to have to like think positive all the time. Like, yay. So, I mean, you know, there are thorns on roses. So like, there's thorns on roses. Anyways, I said to myself, okay, Chloe, for one day, you're just going to have fun and we're going to play this game where we're going to pretend like everything's like, we're just going to see the positive in everything. And I did it. And it really worked. I hate that it worked, but it really, really worked. So it's really about your mindset, your attitude, and what you're going to see. And I kind of almost think that there's like a couple universes. And like, if you see positive, like you end up living in that parallel reality. I don't know. Not getting into the multiverse theories now. If anyone knows anything about that, write something below. I love these type of theories. So like, I would love to know if it's possible that we're fluctuating between maybe frequencies and realities. Okay. The number one thing to do is really not do anything. Normally, as a spiritual person, I would say try to raise your frequency. The second thing I would say is like, let's try to manifest a better life. No. Stop. Be still for just a second. And the reason why I say be still for a second is because right now, kind of like water flowing, you need to flow. You need to flow from an ice cube to a cup to a puddle to steam. Just flow. Because if you flow, then you're part of the universe, right? Because the universe is in motion. It's moving. Everything is moving. Energy is moving, right? The washing machine goes round and round. It's moving. And if you're fighting against it, you're going to exhaust yourself. So for right now, just kind of like flow. Like the world is going through this change. You're not in this alone. Like everybody's experiencing this right now, including myself, right? So just kind of like be still for a second and like let things flow. And you know, if you're let's say going through a breakup, don't try to manifest a new boyfriend right now, because if you're going to try to manifest your ideal, your body subconsciously is going to be sending out the signals of all the things that you know that you were hurt from before. Like all those feelings are still stuck in your body, and until like you move the energy out of you and completely clear off those blockages, even though consciously your prefrontal cortex is saying, this is what I want to manifest in my life, your subconscious might be manifesting the exact opposite, and it's going to sabotage your manifestation because you're not really beyond time and space. You're very much treading water in your current vortex. So my best advice is to take time and stand still for just 1 minute and swap out manifesting for meditating. And so I did an hour plus a day meditation. First of all, I had very little money. I was kind of broke and back at my parents' house after my divorce. And that's like a whole nother story because they're, you know, super religious, but they were pretty respecting at this point. I was back at their house. I had like pretty much nothing. The person was abusive, so I had no idea what the next move was going to be. They called the cops on me many, many times. This is somebody who has no care for humanity, especially no one else. I mean, the way he treated his own parents really is a reflection on the person themselves. And I feel like when you're dealing with that kind of energy, the best thing that you can do is just kind of pull back into yourself and then just get very clear with what you want and focus on your life and where your path is, kind of like a horse putting blinders on, and just focus on that. So I spent a lot of time in prayer. I would pray an hour to 2 hours a day. There was a lot of tears, there was a lot of talk, but basically the prayers were a conversation with God. Hey God, what's up? This is what I'm going through. This is how I'm feeling. I don't know what to do. Just talking out loud, like literally as if this person was going to respond to me, as if the creator of the world was going to come down and have this conversation with me. Sometimes I would say, hey daddy, like as if God was my father, like hey mom, like reaching out to the feminine aspect of God. And I prayed a lot. And the prayer in Hebrew is called Hidbodedut, which just means, a conversation with God. And realizing that the creator of the world is within all of us, because our soul is our spirit and our spirit is part of God, and God's spirit's within us. So really respect that, because we can be co-creators and we can work with God if we tap into that. So the number one thing that I did was I allocated an hour to an hour and a half every day towards prayer and meditating. And I do want to do a video on meditating, because I have a very strong opinion on what kind of meditations people should do or could do for themselves. But that was the number one thing. I did prayer. Number two for the anxiety is I took a lot of homeopathy. There's two types. There's Ignatia Amara, and then there's Arsenica album. I'll try to put the link below. It's Arsenica album. And so the thing is, you take one for different times. Now, if you have, and then the third one is Naturum Matriculum. Okay. If God forbid you're widowed and your spouse passed away, that's grief. You take Naturum Matriculum, which is basically tears. It's like salt water. It's like tears. You take that. If you have, I was so nervous. Like, what are they going to do to me? Are they going to try to throw me in jail? Are they going to try to have me run over by a car? Are they going to rob my house? Are they going to hold me up a gun? Like, what are they going to do to me, right? Like, what is going to happen? That fear, that up and down, like your heart's just palpitating and your anxiety, you don't know what's going to happen next. And it's just this unstableness, instability with fear. Ignatia Amara is the best thing in the world. Like, you can't cry because you have so much anxiety and fear. You take Ignatia Amara and you're going to calm down so much that you're just going to cry. And those tears are the warmest, best feeling tears in the world. Like, you just feel so much better, like letting it out. And then you pray on that. Oh, hell yeah. Then you pray and you talk to God and you open your heart up and you're like this and you're like, and you just get to know yourself again, and you're just so grateful for the chance to start over and continue, and that you're alive and you're going to make it and everything's going to go through, or and you work through everything that's happening and all the processes that's happening. Okay. Now that we got that done, we have the prayer that we're allocating time for, super important for your mental health. We have some homeopathic help that really helps a ton for anxiety. The third thing that we can do is let's practice non-attachment. Okay, so we're processing everything that's happening. Everything that starts ends, and the best thing to understand is that attachment is something that is not indifferent. It's not a lack of caring. Non-attachment is when you decide that you understand that the universe is fluid, and that what God gives you is yours and what God takes is not meant for you anymore, and that God's rejection is God's direction, and everything is going to work out in your life for your best, and allowing yourself to sit back and watch your movie unfold. If you were on a city bus and you kept telling the driver, why are you going the right and not left? Why are you going down this road and not that road? If you cut there, you can go faster. Oh my God, that bump on the road was so hard on my back. And you're constantly complaining. By the time you get to your destination, you're stressed out. If you just trust the driver and let the driver do its thing, you can sit back and you can get driven to your destination. You can arrive in peace and get to where you want to get to. Non-attachment is very important. Being able to let go of being the cocoon and being ready to be that butterfly, allowing yourself to realize that this is only going to make you stronger and better, and this is an opportunity to explore things that you've never explored before. So non-attachment and learning to let go is pretty hard, but this is something that is like kind of a crucial step. Not being attached to the girl that I was growing up, not being attached to the fact that I don't have like family to the same level that I did before, not being attached to the fact that, you know, I no longer was married, not being attached to the fact that I don't have the same friends, not being attached to the fact that my business is not the same, that I don't look the same, that I don't feel the same, not being attached to the fact that I tried and I made a mistake. Like, just letting it all go and like throwing it back on God really helps me a lot. Just, my mistakes are yours and my right choices are yours, and I'm living out this life and I'm living out this simulation, doing the best that I can to like manifest the life that I want to manifest. And on that note, there's something called anchoring that I like to do, and I am very specific on not anchoring with a spouse or a child or a job or anything, because anything external can leave. And I know that this sounds scary to say, but you know, a spouse could die, they could leave, they could meet someone else. A child, unfortunately, God forbid, and all of us can die and leave, and whatever it is. Jobs also come and go. The best thing you can anchor to is yourself. Just really get to know yourself, get to know your shadow side, get to know your highest self, get to know the different aspects of yourself, opening up your heart chakra, and really like connecting to your essence beyond your ego, right? Like, my ego is that I'm a prop tech thought leader, that I'm a real estate investor, and that I have like a real estate podcast. That's like very much like the story. I live here, this is my age, this is what I do, these are my friends, this is my life. That's like my ego. That's the story, that's the security blanket about who I am. But really, who am I? I'm not any of those things. Those things are things that I do, but that can go away at any time. Who am I is, I'm deeply caring. I'm an empath. I'm highly sensitive. I'm extremely spiritual. I like really love my traditions, right? That's really the person I am. I am getting hurt by people. I don't like going through the dating process in New York City today. Like, these things hurt me. I don't want to have to like feel those kind of feelings and experience superficial friends and things of that nature, right? So being able to just get real and vulnerable with who you are, like, being vulnerable is not that scary. I mean, it feels scary, but then it's not that scary once you kind of get through it. There's a great book that I recommend by David Hawkins called Letting Go. So check that out. And on a last note, I think it was a Buddhist who said, or a Buddhist master said, attachment is an unwillingness to face reality. So I'm a planner, I'm a strategizer. Let's face reality. This is what's happened. Let's see that this is what's happening. Okay, like, how can we make this work for us? We anchor to ourselves, anchor to your ideal version. Like, what do you really want out of life? Like, what do you really, really, really want out of life, right? Anchor to yourself, and it doesn't matter what age you are. You can have it happen at any age. I don't give a if you're 89 years old. Like, still, like, what do you really want out of your life? Anchor yourself to your ideal. Anchor yourself to you. Nothing and no one can shake that. Somebody gives you shitty love, peace. Somebody is not a good co-founder, buy them out. Somebody, a VC, is breathing down your throat and being abusive, I don't need you. You need to be somebody that is anchored to you, to your ideal, to what you want out of life, your integrity, your soul integrity, things that you want out of life. And now is the time more than ever to stand up and be stubborn for who you are, because there's less to lose. And there's something about being on the bottom that's just great. And I'm not saying you're at the bottom. I'm just saying there's something about, like, I don't have my back up against the wall. Like, what wall? Like, I'm standing. Right? I'm standing. I'm anchored to me. I'm standing, and I'm going to get through this. But being attached is because you're not facing reality. So like letting go, not being attached, and realizing that everything in life happens for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And this goes for business, this goes for love, and this goes for friendship and family as well. My advice has all been just from my personal experience. I've lived on earth quite some time, and I feel like this is what's helped me. It doesn't mean it'll help everyone, but I'm also going to do an interview with an actually certified change consultant who focuses only on change in like Fortune 500 companies on a more organizational level, so it'll be a little bit more business oriented. And so we're going to do that interview, and hopefully I'm going to post that later this week. And I hope that you like this video, and if you have any questions you want to ask me, please comment below. Also subscribe, because if you subscribe, I can continue making content. And also, I want to know what kind of content you want. I've been playing around with a couple of different things. I just feel like my friends have, for ages, people have been calling me for advice about so many different things, and I want to put that advice out there, because I know that when I was going through that, nothing helped me more than watching other people's videos and people going through those experiences and talking about how to get away from a narcissist when you're an empath, and like how to be appealing as a woman in feminine energy when you're a CEO in the workplace. And like there's just so many topics to talk about, it's kind of hard to choose. Anyways, leave a comment below, because if you interact with me, I am going to try my very best to interact back and like let you know my answers. And be patient, my dears. The universe is changing. We're all in this together. I swear half of us are going through this problem. I mean, most of us are. And be like water. Flow. Because then God's divinity can just wash over you. But I know I said that weird, but like, just go with the flow. Because when you go with the flow, the universe can flow back to you, and then feel from a place of goodness. And you know, if you're feeling kind of down, try not to manifest, because we don't want to manifest like down feelings. We want to kind of like stay upbeat, stay away from that for a little bit, kind of focus on the meditation, which is going to help with the stillness and the patience and the flow. And then once you're flowing, things will flow towards you, because trust me, what you're seeking is seeking you. I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe.